All right, so today we are going to talk about 5.1 and 5.2. I will post some videos. You will see the links in the PowerPoints. I will skip over those and then I will post them for you to watch. And then you will have the homework lessons for 5.1 and 5.2 for today. We're going to talk about sole proprietorships first. This whole topic is going to be the different ways that you can operate a company. And these are definitely good things to know because you very easily could want to own your own company one day. And I have done several of these. I have owned an LLC. My father has been incorporated. He's done an LLC. He's been an S Corp, a C Corp. I've done a sole proprietorship. There's several different things to do, and the benefits to each one depend on what type of company you are, and it can get complicated. So sole proprietorship. We're going to talk about the characteristics, the advantages and disadvantages, and the rights and responsibilities. So again, I will post this YouTube video explaining what a sole proprietorship is for you to watch. Again, a sole proprietorship is pretty much exactly what it states. It is owned by a single individual. This is one of the easiest ones to start up. If you operate any type of business, you need to have a business license. Technically, even if you're selling lemonade on the street, you need to have a business license. If your children are, they need to have a business license. We have zoning laws. There's residential zoning laws, so you can't just, put up a business in the middle of a neighborhood. You can't put a house in the middle of a business area. Business areas are zoned for certain types of businesses. I know I had that problem because my business was a cheerleading gym, so it would have kids coming in, but I needed really, really tall ceilings so you could throw people around. And that tended to be warehouse space, but warehouse space was not zoned for allowing people to come in and out. It was meant more for, warehouse trucks coming in. So it was really difficult to find a space that was zoned for the type of business that I had that had the ceilings that I needed. So it was really, really difficult. Liability, you hear this a lot. It's your obligation to pay a debt. So if you take out a loan, you have the liability to pay it back. You'll also hear liability a lot with being sued. If you have car insurance, you probably have collision and you have liability. You have to have liability. And that is if you cause an accident, liability means you're going to pay for the other person's injuries or damage to their car. So if you're in business, you have liability that if you cause harm to someone else, they sue you and they win, you've got to pay for it. Fringe benefits, this could be payments to other employees other than wages or salary, and that could be money. It could be other things, like I judge cheerleading. Fringe benefits could be, I used to get free tickets, still can, to Disney World. My kids have been to Disney World many times because I would get free tickets, and that was one of the reasons why I judged cheerleading. I get mileage points and hotel points from judging cheerleading when I fly, so those are fringe benefits that I get. My husband works at Bass Pro Shop, so a fringe benefit is he gets discounts at Bass Pro. You might work at a restaurant, and a fringe benefit is the discount on the food that you get. So you might be able to turn something you really like to do into a business. You could have a side hustle or a side job that is you turn into a business. I have that. I make cheer bows. I monogram things. It's not really a full-blown business, but I do it out of my house, so it's a sole proprietorship. And you have to decide, do you really want to go through getting an attorney and getting a business ID number, LLC, or is it okay just to be a sole proprietorship? And one of those has to do with liability, your ability to be sued. So like if you look here, this is a street fair with artists. These are sole proprietors, and sole proprietorship is the best thing for artwork, because you got to ask yourself, like, how likely are you to be sued for your artwork? I mean, what are you going to be sued over? Is it going to jump out and attack you? Is it going to cause you harm? I mean, you know, you look at the art, are you going to come back 30 days later and now say all of a sudden I don't like it, and someone can sue you for it? I mean, no, you see the art, you like it, you buy it. I mean, how are you going to sue somebody over it? Yeah. Here is a pie graph for the role of the sole proprietor. If you look at it, you can see sole proprietors tend to be small dollar businesses. 69% make under $25,000. So again, they tend to be side jobs. There are some, there's 1% there making $500,000 to $1 million, 1% making $1 million or more. Those could be realtors. Some realtors are sole proprietors. You know, it could be an artist who is like phenomenal and major artwork. You know, there are some. Could be web designers, people like that. But most sole proprietors are small time. So there are several advantages to being a sole proprietor. They're very, very easy to start up, these types of businesses. They're also very easy to end. Very few regulations. If I'm the sole proprietor, I am the only one that gets the profit. Negative side, I'm the only one that takes the loss. And I have full control. I don't have to answer to anybody else. It's you know, what I say. Here is a food truck. These are becoming very, very popular. But even though it's a sole proprietorship, they still have to be licensed. They would have to follow all of the guidelines for being a restaurant, making sure that the food is safe, that it's clean, that they're licensed, the inspections that restaurants go through, things like that. A sole proprietor makes profit because they literally do income less expenses, that equals profit or loss. And so if you've taken an accounting class, revenue less expenses equals profit or loss. There are disadvantages too to sole proprietorships. You know, there is a high degree of responsibility with the sole proprietorship. Really owning any business, there's a high degree of responsibility. The biggest negativity to a sole proprietorship is you have unlimited liability. The best way for me to describe this is when you have a sole proprietorship, if you have business assets and you get sued and they win, not only can they take your business assets, but they can come after your personal assets. So like, let's just say it was me, for example. They could not only go after anything that the company part of me owns, but they could come after my cars. They could come after my house. They could come after any bank accounts I have for my kids, car savings. They could wipe me clean. So that's the negative side to a sole proprietorship. I have limited access to resources because of a sole proprietorship, and there's a lack of permanence just because it's harder. So that's why I said, if you want to be a sole proprietorship, it's very easy, but you have to ask yourself, what's the chance that I can be sued? Because again, artwork, very little chance you can be sued. So there's very little chance they're going to come after my personal property. But if you're something like a doctor, where, you know, probably going to get sued, probably going to make a mistake, somebody's going to sue you, probably don't want to be a sole proprietor, because then they can take you for everything you've got. You want to protect your personal assets. You know, if you go into construction, you might want to be a sole proprietor. You know, business costs can be high here. lot of times your construction workers will work for somebody because if you have to buy like all of this equipment, that can be really expensive. So if you work for a construction company, they provide it for you. Maybe you make a lot of money and then you go and open your own business because now you have the money to buy your own equipment. Because if you take out that loan, then you're personally liable for the loan. And what if, like now with COVID, business is down, you're still liable for the loan. Here is the survival rate of sole proprietorships. You can see into year 2, about 1/3 don't survive, and in year 3, it's a cut in half. I love statistics. I've told y'all I love statistics. One of the questions I have with this is how many of these sole proprietorships completely ended, dissolved, or how many of them converted to, say, an LLC or a corporation, S Corp, because sometimes you can have a sole proprietorship that grows and they've outgrown the needs of a sole proprietorship, or maybe my business has grown and it's outgrown just me and I needed to take on a partner, so maybe I've converted to a partnership or a corporation. So that would be one of my questions with these statistics is how many of them dissolved or how many of them converted to a partnership or corporation. Might be extra credit. Partnerships and franchises. This is another option. If you do not like working on your own, you can enter into a partnership. Partnerships are good, especially if you find somebody that their strength is your weakness and vice versa. So that's where you have 2 or more people, and you have to have a partnership agreement where you actually, that's your articles of partnership. You see down there, I believe it's the 6th vocabulary word. You have to literally write out a partnership agreement identifying who does what. It's kind of like a prenup in marriage, prenup partnership, so that everybody's roles are clearly defined. You don't want to go into a partnership without it, because anytime there's a disagreement, you're going to refer back to that as to whose responsibilities are who. You have a general partnership. This is where the partners share equally in both responsibility of the day-to-day workings of the company as well as liability for any profit and loss. If you have a limited partnership, then that is where there is at least one general partners and the others have limited responsibility. So an example of that might be where I take on a partner who just funds with money. Like I'm the brains and they're the money. So I'm the general partner. I run day to day. I don't have any money. I have the idea. They have the money. They're the limited partner. All they're doing is backing the company financially. You've got a limited liability partnership. This is one where all the partners are limited partners. So maybe it's there's a group of people that have a bunch of money and they hire me to be the CEO. So I'm not a partner. I'm just the CEO of the company running it, and they're all limited partners financially backing it. Yeah. Now a franchise, this is different. This is a type of partnership, but it would be where you kind of act as a sole proprietor / partnership, but instead of me having a partner that's an individual, my partner would be, say, McDonald's Corporation or Taco Bell or Sonic. So that would be where I pay franchise fees to McDonald's to have a McDonald's location, or Chick-fil-A, and they in turn teach me how to run the business, sell their product. They do the advertising, the coupons, all that stuff. And in turn, I give them royalties. They get a percentage of my profit, all that stuff. So there are characteristics of partnerships. And again, no one person is perfect. one of the best things that you can do as you start adulting is know your strengths and your weaknesses. I took, when I was in college this year, it's the Strengths Finders assessment, which identifies your strengths and your weaknesses. And I've always kind of gravitated towards people who their strength is my weakness, and one's paperwork and organization, not my strength. But people who are like that tend to be very organized. They cannot work on the fly, and I'm excellent at that. So they like to gravitate towards me. So let's talk about limited partnerships. If you look at this, you've got, here is an attorney, and like, what good does it do to be a partner here when there's so many names on the building? Like, there's so many. Yeah, doesn't do you any good. Here's examples of different types of partnerships. Both of them take a business loss of $150,000. First one has 3 general partners. And so you can see if they take a $150,000 loss, each one of the 3 general partners split that $150,000, so they've got to come up with $50,000 each. If it's a limited partnership, only the 2 general partners have to absorb that $150,000. The limited partner has 0 liability, so he's out nothing. The 2 general partners take the $75,000. In the limited partnership, again, there's 1 general partner and 2 limited. The general partner has to eat the whole $150,000. So, yeah, that kind of stinks for that one. However, there was a profit. That person's going to get more. Here's another example of the partnership structures. The general partnership, you got to have at least 2 general partners, and you can't have any limited. So you could have 3, you could have 100, but you got to have at least 2 for a general partnership. And all partners have full responsibility and liability. If you have a limited partnership, you got to have at least 1 general and at least 1 limited. You can have more than 1, but you got to have at least 1 and 1. If you have a limited liability, you can't have any general partners. So again, this is where you've got the people that own the company and they hire the CEO to run it. Okay. There are advantages to partnerships. They have few government regulations, kind of like a sole proprietorship. Very easy startup, again, just like a sole proprietorship. But another advantage is there's shared decision making. So if you've ever been in a group, sometimes 2 heads are better than 1. Yeah. Now again, that articles of partnership. Again, this looks like a marriage thing, like prenup. You really need this, because I don't care what type of relationship you have, friendships, there's arguments, marriage, there's arguments, partnerships, there's gonna be disagreements. You really need that article of partnership so that you can clarify disagreements. Now, when you have profit and loss in partnerships, how much your share of the loss as well as the profit is going to depend on your initial investment. So again, if you invest more money initially, you're going to take a bigger share of the profit, but you're also going to take a bigger share of the loss. So you can see here, 2 of the general partners invested 30%, whereas 2 only invested 20%. So when they take a loss, that's great for the 2 that only invested 20%, but when they take a profit, they're getting a smaller piece of the pie too. So their risk is smaller, but their reward is smaller. There's also disadvantages to partnerships. They tend to have the same ones as sole proprietorships. Limited liability partnerships, they have fewer disadvantages than general partners. But again, just like anything, partnerships have the potential for conflict. One of the disadvantages is, again, unlimited liability. If you're sued, they can come after your personal property, your house, your savings accounts, everything. There's potential for conflict, and again, lack of permanence. Here, this is a partnership that's going out of business. So if you have 11 months left on your lease and you've got to go out of business, those partners still have to pay the 11 months on the lease. They can't go, oh, sorry, you know, we're broke. We've gone out of business. We can't pay the rest of the lease. They still have to pay that money. They're stuck paying it. So here are disadvantages of a partnership. We got two people, Jill and Diego. They launched their business on applying to college. They equally invest. Jill is the content person for the website. Diego, he's the tech dude, you know, he designs it. Their company grows and they make money because people advertise on their site. Before long, it kind of blows up and they can't keep up with the paperwork. So now they're starting to lose business and have a negative effect because it's gotten so huge. So they've got to decide, like, their business has kind of outgrown them. So they can either scale back and keep going as they are and lose some business and turn business away and possibly fail, or they can decide to take on a new partner that's very paperwork oriented and accounting oriented and possibly have an opportunity for success. And again, this could be where maybe they decide not to be a partnership anymore. Maybe they decide to incorporate, become an LLC and change. And so that takes us to the survival of partnerships. And if you look at year 3, remember, for sole proprietorship, it was only 50%. So this one is a little higher at about 65, 66. And again, how many of those completely exit the business world and how many of them convert? That's a big question I have. How many of them grow so much that then they become an LLC or incorporate or an S Corp? Sole proprietorships, yeah, they have a lack of resources or lack of skills. So you can fix that by forming a partnership. Again, sometimes one person's the brains, one person's the brawn, one person has the idea, one person has the money. Sometimes you can solve that by being a franchise. And there's disadvantages and advantages to franchises. Because like Chick-fil-A, was it Truett Cathy came up with the Chick-fil-A sandwich, and of course everybody here around Beach just loves Chick-fil-A. You know, it's I mean, it's a hit. So if you can sell a Chick-fil-A and get permission to sell Chick-fil-A, you know you've got a winner on your hands. So it would be worth it if you can be a franchise owner and sell that sandwich. Why would you not be willing to? So in a sense, you're taking on the partner of Chick-fil-A Corporation. And that's what you do. You pay royalties and fees to Chick-fil-A Corporation, and in turn, they train you, they give you the support, they advertise, they give you savings on materials, everything they need to support you and let you be an owner. They also, because I know the owner of the one in Goodlettsville, like there's a certain radius that they will not put another Chick-fil-A to. Like there's like a guaranteed radius that you can't stick another one to also help you be successful. UPS stores, these are examples of a franchise. Now, you might think I'm better off being in a partnership than a franchise. Like if I'm paying all this money to a corporation, well, let's look at it. Is it cost effective? So here is comparing a sole proprietorship, partnership, and a franchise. All of them make the same revenue, $500,000. They all have the exact same expenses of $400,000, and they're all making the exact same profit of $100,000. Okay, so let's look at it. Both the sole proprietor and partnership do not have any franchise or marketing fees. So if you own it by yourself, that's the best scenario. You get $100,000. But if you take on a partner, you're going to split that profit evenly, so you each get $50,000. However, if I'm a franchisee and my partner is corporate America, even after I pay $35,000 to the corporation, I'm getting $65,000. That's $15,000 more than if I had a partner. Yeah. And there you go. And that is the end for 5-1 and 5-2. Happy studying.